Hello, Blackhawks and NHL fans. TJ Senning here. What we're going to do for the remainder of the regular season and throughout the playoffs is me and my partner who's not here today, Andrew Potsinger. We'll just call him Potsy. We're going to give you guys a little breakdown on the scenarios that the Hawks have for playoff positioning. We're going to do reviews of games. And we're going to update you guys on the entire world of Blackhawks. There's a lot of sports talk out there in the city of Chicago, and there's pretty much none on the Blackhawks. So it's going to be nice to get to talk about it, get a lot of things off my chest, and I know Pote is going to feel the same way. What this is, you know, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to get a lot of opinion-based stuff. You know, there's going to be a lot of fact going behind it. But you're going to get two guys who have a pretty extensive hockey knowledge that's going to help you guys out. Now, these podcasts, I guess, video podcasts, are going to be, you know, for anybody. If you want to, you know, show your grandma, show your grandma. Don't show your grandma. But, you know, anybody who's a hockey fan, you know, pass the message along because we're gonna be talking Hawks here for hopefully the next couple months. A little bit about myself. I've been playing hockey my entire life. I've been on skates since I believe I was 4-ish, but you know, longer than I can remember. And you know, going up in the Chicago area, started playing with the Sabres, went to the Mission, went back to the Huskies, you know, and then CY, and then back to the Mission. So played locally my whole life, and then after that, I went on and played Junior A hockey in the North American League. Which is the second league here in the States, and after that nothing really came of it. So you know, my hockey knowledge is up there. I do know quite a bit about the game, not trying to pump my own tires here, but you know, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of stuff that I see that, you know, your everyday average fan won't see. And I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable about it, but they're you know, hopefully I consider myself more knowledgeable than most. So here we go, guys. It's the end of the season. We got 3 games left in the regular season. Today's gonna be a little different. We're gonna kind of go throughout what the season was, and then we're gonna go into the scenarios as, you know, compared to every other show. We're gonna kind of be going over the game from the night before, and then continuing to talk about what the Hawks needed to improve on. So here's the scenario to start it off. We're gonna start with some what am I starting with here, guys? I can't even remember. I'm freaking myself out here. First time doing a video. I'm just all jumbly. We are going to start with the standings. All right. So we're gonna know where the Hawks sit here. So the Hawks are currently in 3rd place in the division, in the Central Division here. All right. So right now, and it's a tight race. Right now, not your St. Louis Blues, because we all hate the Blues, right? Blues are sitting on top of the division at 105 points. All right. Nashville is right behind them at 104 points. And the Hawks are in 3rd at 102 points. So what that means is right now, the Hawks are playing Nashville without home ice. But 3 games left in the season, small amount of points to make up. Hopefully the Hawks can at least jump that 1 spot, if not doing the 3-game sweep here, and hoping St. Louis, you know, loses a game and then a game in overtime. And even then, I don't think we win. But it's going to be tough to get to that 1st place position, and honestly, I don't even think we want it, because the way that goes is that 1st place team is going to have to play the 2nd wild card team unless they pass Anaheim in points, which I kind of doubt is going to happen because Anaheim's a good team, and they're going to close out their last 2 games, I think, with 2 wins. So if that happens right now, the Blues are going to be playing Winnipeg. And as kind of anybody who's been watching the season this year knows, the Hawks and Winnipeg don't really match up well together. They're a big-bodied team who likes to play physical, led by a lot of Blackhawks. You know, they got Ladd, they got Big Buff, who, as we've seen on our side of the picture, he can be, you know, he can be a difference maker in playoff series. And, you know, the Hawks really don't have too many bodies to match up against those guys. We got Bickle, who's kind of on and off every now and then, who decides to play physical one game and then decides to be softer than your little sister next game. So it all depends on who shows up to play in those series. But that's a series where I don't think the Hawks want. I honestly think that the Hawks here are going to want to play Nashville. Where we sit now, we just want to jump them so we get the home ice. Because that's going to play a big difference. Being in that second spot, starting off in Chicago. And if it goes to Game 7, which against them, I don't think it will, it's going to be nice to have that home ice for Game 7. We've seen in years past, home ice is a big deal. Also, Nashville's not really playing so hot lately. Over the last 10 games, they're 5-2-3. So that's 5 losses. 2 of them, their last 2 games have been overtime losses, but still, that's 5 losses out of the last 10 games. Where the Hawks have kind of been on a roll here, and we're not doing much better, but we're 6-4. But we've played a lot better than we did. We've had a 3-game stretch there where we played pretty bad, and not to mention we're missing our leading scorer, but good news, Kane is on the ice. And then St. Louis, we don't want to really. I think we want to wait and let St. Louis kind of bang a series out against Winnipeg, a very physical team. And I just think that would be the better situation to let them go into a longer series with them, a more physical series, and let the Hawks kind of play more of a skill game against Nashville, who's got guys like Philip Forsberg, who this year has just really had his breakout year, and he's played fantastic. The good news for the Hawks, though, is that Vlad Tarasenko, he's out right now. So is Steen for the Blues. So you never know what they're going to do. Also good news for all these people who have kind of just been following the last couple years, which I have no problem with. The NHL, we're trying to grow our game. Fans of hockey, we want to grow the game. Yeah, but then we sit there and we yell at people for being bandwagon fans. And I can't blame anybody but myself as well. I do the same thing. But I've become more open to that now, because if we're trying to grow our game, we want more people to jump in. So as these people would know, as well as anybody else who's been following the last few years, LA is currently on the outside looking in for playoffs. And that's big. The returning Stanley Cup champions not even making the playoffs. Personally, after that series from last year, I would love to see it. Just like I would love to see Detroit not make the playoffs, which could happen this year as well. But this year has been, like we said, we've had a lot of ups and downs this year. We've had injuries to our leading scorer. We have not trading Sharp, which we'll get into in another show probably over the summer about getting rid of Patrick Sharp. But let's talk real quick before we get back into the what we need to do here over the next 3 games. Let's talk about a few key players for the Hawks this year. Obviously, we're going to go number 1, fearless leader, Jonathan Days, who especially since Patrick Kane has left, he is, talk about putting the team on your back. He is the quintessential leader, and the leader that the Hawks have been waiting for years. For him to be a captain, and once, obviously he's been captain for a few years now, but, once he got that on his jersey, he really shows it, game in and game out, why it's on his jersey. But he is, especially since that Kane injury, like I said, he's picked up his game tremendously. He's probably going to end the season with his second highest point total in his career. His highest is 76. He's at 66 now. And he's gotten 68 twice, so he'll either be right there or, maybe one above, hopefully. But with the way he's playing lately, I think he's going to at least get to 69 or 70. Also, guys, I'm not going to lie. I don't have all of this stuff memorized. I don't know how many points Tays had in 2012, 2013 without looking. So I'm going to be on the screen here. If my eyes wander away from you, I'm checking something. So I'm just trying to pass on as much information to you guys as I can. Also, a guy who we've seen step up to a whole new level than we have in years past is our 36-year-old number 81 Marian Hossa. I mean, he just seems to have a new jump in these last 10 games. He's just kind of, and we've always known Hossa as this big physical, come try to take the puck away from me. I'm just gonna kind of manhandle you when I have the puck. And he's continued to do that, and he's played tremendous lately. And not to mention, he's shooting the puck a lot more, which he hasn't done since he played in Detroit. And it's showing. I mean, he's a 22 goal scorer, 60 points at 36 years old. I mean, that's Yager-esque. So it's great to see out of him. The other group of people we're going to do this is our third line here. So lately, we know the Hawks, Quenneville does what he wants. But for the most part, it's either been like Taze, Hossa, and Versteeg, or Sods up there. And then, you had Richards, Shaw, and, Sharp or somebody like that. Or Richards, Kruger, and Sharp. Or Richards, Bickle, and Sharp. But Richards is out now for the next 3 games. But that Shaw, Kruger, Bickle, Teravainen, Desjardins, Vermette group has just kind of been, I mean, really our bottom 6, I guess, is an easy way to say it. Where a lot of teams, when they throw their third, fourth line on the ice, it's for momentum. You want to get a quick momentum change, or you want to get pucks out and deep, and go get a couple hits in there. With the Hawks, we're sending our third and fourth line out, and they're creating offense. Whoever would have thought Andrew Shaw was going to be a 20-goal scorer? He's not going to be, but he's close. I didn't even think he was going to get 20 points. But, he's pretty good. And those other guys, I mean, Tavo's really stepped up his game lately when he plays. Kruger is on fire. The only thing I'd like to see more out of Bickle is his shot. He takes 8 years trying to get his parents' attention up there in the stands to take the shot. Just sometimes it's a little bit obnoxious. Like I said earlier, he can be a great asset one game, and the next game you have no idea what he's doing. And then let's talk decor here for a second. Obviously we have Keith and Siebes. Duh. I mean, that's those 2-time Norris Trophy winner, and then Seabrook, who's just, I mean, he's unbelievably good still. And then you're sitting there with Oduya and Hjalmarsson, who, unlike a lot of other teams, would be a #1 pairing. They block more frickin' shots than anybody I've ever seen. It's unreal. And then that kind of leaves us with this Roosevelt, Rundblad situation back there. Personally, I am a fan of Rundblad. Mainly because he's awesome. He's a plus player. He gets points. He's better than frickin' Roosevelt is. I would like to see him play more. And we also have Timonen. My apologies. I don't know how I forgot that one. But, he's in there too. But they're really going to kind of rotate that Roosevelt-Rundblad grouping in there. And I really hope he leans towards Rundblad, because he's playing better. And, it's not necessarily who's been your better player when it comes to this time of the year, but it's who's hot. And Rundblad's hot. He's a lot hotter than, Roosevelt is lately. And then our goaltending situation here, guys. Crawford and Darling. Enough said. Darling is he's 9-3-0. He's got a shutout with a 939 save percentage. It's pretty good. And he's a guy that, Crawford needs a rest, or, you guys got a back-to-back coming up near the playoffs, or they usually give you the 1 day in between, but if you ever have a back-to-back, or, Crawford needs a rest, you throw in Darling. I'm sure every Hawks fan here is comfortable with Darling in the net. I am. I think he's a fantastic goalie. I think he's going to end up doing great things. and his story's awesome. You know, I just think it's a good story for him. So hopefully the Hawks don't have any problems with goaltending. Like I don't know, a couple years ago when they played Arizona, everybody wanted Crawford gone. How's that worked out for us now, huh? And then let's quickly get into Patrick Sharp. If you couldn't tell in the beginning of the video, I'm not the biggest Sharp fan. I like the guy. I think he was a good hockey player. I think at 33, he should not have been kept this year, especially coming off a 78-point season last year. I think that was the highest trade value you would have ever had for him, and I think you should have used it, even if it was for draft picks, because as everybody knows, the Hawks are keen on getting their minor league program where they were essentially doing what the Wings do. We're drafting kids, bringing them up through the minors, and then they're NHL ready when they get to us, and they can step in and play a role, you know, be a difference maker. And that would have been good to get out of Sharp, but that didn't happen. We have Sharp. Here's the thing with Sharp. He needs the confidence. Quenneville has kind of buried him lately in lines deeper in the rotation, and he's not getting as much ice time. I think that hurts him. I think if he does play more on a better line with better people, especially in the playoffs coming up, we will see his production jump up a little bit. Nothing that's going to be awe-inspiring. It's not going to be last year Patrick Sharp. But it is something that he needs to step up, and he needs to stop being a minus. This year is the, third time in his career since that he's been a minus, and the other two times were before Kane and Taves were Blackhawks. So, I mean, that should tell you right there that, you know, that's a big difference. And we need him to be good. And that's just all there is to it. And he usually is a pretty good playoff player, you know. So we just need him to do a little bit better. So that's really it that I got to say on the actual players themselves. Hopefully Versteeg, you know, keeps playing the way he's playing too. He sometimes has a tendency to turn pucks over, but he really hasn't lately. You'll see him every now and then try to play like Kaner, and the next thing you know, you'll see the other team skating away with the puck. So, let's get back to these last three games here, guys. So, the Blackhawks, we play Minnesota tonight. We play St. Louis on Wednesday. Thursday. And then Saturday, we play Colorado. And we're at St. Louis and at Colorado. So not easy games. So we have there's no more easy games for the rest of the season. Colorado will be easier, but they're still a good team. And so, you know, there's 6 points on the line here, and the Hawks need all 6. Whether or not they want to, you know, jump up one spot or jump to the first place spot, because St. Louis doesn't have an easy schedule. They have Winnipeg, who is 1 point out of 1 point ahead of LA for that final wild card spot, and so they're gonna send everybody just hard at St. Louis, and not to mention that's probably gonna be that first round playoff matchup. So we just want to, you know, they're gonna want to send a message that if we do play you guys, we're coming hard, and then they will. And then St. Louis plays us on Thursday, like we mentioned, and they're coming off a victory against us on Sunday, which I hope the Hawks take to heart, come back out and, you know, play hard on them. And then they got Minnesota to end their season, who is in that first wild card spot, and they can't go anywhere from there, but they just want to retain that wild card spot, as of course anybody would do. Because instead of playing Anaheim, they have to play, you know, or no, they will. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I think I screwed this up. They probably will play Anaheim, but that's just my opinion. All right, so let's see here. And then, let's check Nashville's schedule here real quick, guys, just because, they have a little bit easier of a schedule. They got Colorado, they got Minnesota, and they got Dallas. So they're probably, there's a good chance they take 6 of those points. Personal opinion, they're going to take 4. I think they lose to Minnesota. So if the Hawks take 6 and they take 4, Hawks have more wins in the season. That jumps them ahead of them in the playoffs. Hawks have home ice. So there's a lot of things that could shift around. The Hawks could jump up to first if St. Louis, only gets 3 points and Nashville only gets 4 points. And there's a lot of stuff that can happen. It's tough. It's going to be a tough road in. Real quick here, let's see where we're at right now time-wise. I don't want to keep you guys too long here. But real quick, of course, you're not going to tell me, are you? Nice. All right. Now, let's just real quick, let's talk the rest of the Western Conference. Just because eventually somebody who comes out of the Central, Blackhawks, are going to have to play the team from the Pacific. And there's Anaheim's a team to beat out there. They still have a chance to run at the President's Cup. They're 1 point behind, I believe. Let's double check that. 2 points behind the Rangers, and the Rangers have 2 games left as well. So Anaheim's going to probably come out of that division, but there is Vancouver and Calgary as well, and that will be a fantastic series. Calgary, very fun team to watch. A lot of small guys on that team. Yuri Hudler, Sean Monahan, Johnny Hockey, who's elevated his game to, Rookie of the Year status. Who knows? His points say it, but, does the voting say it? And I believe that Vancouver-Calgary series will be a good one. For all you guys who don't really watch hockey, I advise tuning into that one because that'll be a nice, quick-paced, fun series to watch. And all the games will be televised nationally, so you're not going to miss any playoff game if you don't want to. Maybe 1 or 2, but that'll be a good one. And then one of those teams playing Anaheim. Anaheim will win that division. That's anything can happen in 7 games, but Anaheim's a really, really good team, so we got to watch out for them. And then we'll just come over to these real quick. Montreal, fantastic team. Carey Price, best goalie in the NHL this year, guaranteed Vezina. He's just fantastic. He's led every category, and they're a damn good hockey team. And then you got Tampa Bay, who's got like the Tyler Johnsons, the Steven Stamkos, the Ryan Callahans, the Valtteri Filppulas, Victor Hedman, Jonathan Drouin. They got a lot of talent on that team too. Bishop and net. So they're going to be a tough team to beat, and they're going to be playing. Now we'll get into who they're playing in a second because there's a cool thing going out in the East about who's going to sneak into these playoffs. Over on the Metropolitan side, you got the Rangers at 109. They're on fire. Then they're going to win. They're most likely, can't guarantee anything, obviously, 7-game series. They're most likely going to come out of that Metropolitan division. Just based on talent alone. They went to the finals last year, and they're a much, much better team this year. Rick Nash didn't do damn near anything last year. And talk about elevating your game. He's really stepped up, and he's been on fire all year. And then, you got Washington, who, thanks to another 50-goal campaign by the Grade 8 there, they've elevated themselves into a home ice advantage, but they are only 1 point ahead of the Islanders. And the Islanders, it's nice to see them in the playoffs again, especially this year being the last year of their rink. I read something about 30 or 20 some games in a row selling out that arena, which they haven't done in a decade over, it seems like. So that's pretty cool. And then it comes down to this wild card. Now this is awesome. You got Pittsburgh, who is like the face of the NHL outside of the Blackhawks with their fan base. On Crosby alone. You got Detroit, both tied at 95 points. Sitting in 3rd place in that Atlantic Division is Boston at 95 points. And so that's That's tough. And, you know, how it goes is Pittsburgh's in the Metropolitan. So they can't, I mean, they have more wins than Boston, but that doesn't matter, you know, because they're not in the same division. That's how this whole new playoff system works. So they're in trouble here, you know. And then Detroit, they're, you know, they're tied. I think, what is it? It's the row. Yeah, it's the wins at home or something like that. I mean, they're not ahead. I mean, they're pretty much dead tied with Boston for that final spot in the Atlantic, and they're holding on to a 22-year playoff run that they need to keep, or else they're not going to have a fun offseason. You know, and it's awesome to watch because I hate Detroit in every sense of the word, like with a passion. And to watch them not make the playoffs, I'd have a lot of fun talking to my friends, you know, from the Michigan area who I've played with, and letting them know that Detroit sucks, like they hear in our building every time they come. And then sitting just out of that wild card position is Ottawa. Now, Ottawa can jump up there. I mean, they're only 2 points back. They need to win every game on the way in, but they can do it. And they play Pittsburgh tonight. They play them tonight. It's going to be a fantastic game. That's got playoff implication right there. You know, Ottawa wins. I mean, they're tied at 95 points. They have one less win, and another win gets them in. Not to mention, Pittsburgh's lost 3 in a row. This is crazy what's going on the East. But all right, guys, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Tell your family, tell your friends, anybody who wants to listen to some Blackhawks talk, let me know. Well, don't let me know, let them know. And then, you know, like I was telling you guys earlier, this is my first video. I've never done this stuff before. So if you guys want to leave some comments below, you guys got questions, any topics you want me to talk about, anything you want me to get into, you know, let me know. Leave it in the comments below, and I will, I'll go through that tomorrow when we go back and we review the game. That's what we're looking for tomorrow. We're looking for a big victory tonight against, who do we got tonight? Minnesota? Big victory against Minnesota tonight. That's on NBC Sportsnet or Comcast, depending where you guys want to watch it. Come on, we all know we're going to listen to Pat. So let's keep it on Comcast. Unless you guys want to listen to Pierre, and by all means, do that if you want to. But tomorrow we're going to be going over that game. We're going to go a little bit more in depth about what happened there, and we're going to talk a little bit more Patrick Kane talk if he continues to stay on the ice, which I believe he will. All right, good talking to you guys. Like I said, leave comments below, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.